Ava Winnett is a high school principal in Seattle, helping amplify youth voices any way they can. Their parents were teachers in rural areas and taught Ava to stand up for what they thought was right. RadioActive's Lyn Strober-Cohen is one of their students and has the story.
Ava Winnett is Nova High School's new principal, but has been working at Nova for 19 years. Ava has taught me so many things in my 2 years at Nova. For about a year, I had the joy of participating in Gender Tea, which Ava co-created with students. They describe it as
a space to just talk about gender with no matter how you identify with your gender, that you could have a deeper conversation about gender, but that we would be centering trans and non-binary voices. And so that's kind of the origin of Gender Tea.
Through Gender Tea, I realized that my voice as a young person was just as valuable as an adult's voice. It was a safe space where teens could share questions or problems, and anyone could respond with experiences or advice. Ava showed me that I could use my voice for the greater good, and that the same mindset could be used for every young person in the world. I would not understand how true that was until 6 months later. During the aftermath of George Floyd's death, we saw the rise of youth, using their voice to stand up against white supremacy, racism, and other prominent social issues.
We are in very challenging and very exciting times where people are really opening up their minds and really considering deeply the power inequities that exist in our system.
I believe the next place to work on these system inequities is in the classroom. If teachers were to open up their minds and let students have an impact on their own learning, it would move forward how education works, instead of just having this giant power inequity between students and teachers. At Nova High School, students have the opportunity to give advice, pitch in, and even co-lead classes. I've been lucky to be in one of those classes, and the content was fresh, had a modern twist, and still held up as an educational space. As young people, most of us are in classrooms up to 8 hours a day, being lectured and given knowledge by adults, yet we have no say in those curriculums. Ava thinks that it has to do with power more than anything else.
So I think with adults, like any kind of oppressive group or any sort of disproportionate power dynamic, like adults really have to learn how to listen deeply and be open and willing to have who they are rocked a little bit and changed and affected by the things that they hear and learn from youth.
As we were wrapping up the interview, Ava said something I will never stop thinking about.
I think every human has something to teach you, and if you're not open to listening, then you're probably missing out on stuff.
This is why we need to start listening, to learn from the past and to listen to the future. If you don't, you missed out on an entire generation of people with a different idea of how the world should be. From RadioActive Youth Media, I'm Lyn Strober-Cohen.